Where? Hello there. Once again, it is time to take another revealing peek back into history.
What famous date shall I set it to today?
Once again, it's time for Throwback Thursday, a second chance to look at some truly awful podcasts. No, wait, a second chance to see how far Vicis Interimo has come over the last 8 years. New episodes will be released pretty much weekly, but Thursdays I've reserved for throwbacks to see how far we've come. A lot of the information on here no longer applies, whether that be businesses or links that may not work anymore, so be advised of that. But again, I want to thank the patrons that we have at this time, though they may not have been here the first time these episodes were recorded. I am thanking them again because they're helping us move forward with our new episodes. And those are patrons such as At Lonely Bob, Big Al V, and Goldafish. In the meantime, I hope that you enjoy what you hear.
Welcome to 30 Minutes to Kill. Okay, welcome back, and thanks for coming back and listening to the podcast again. We're on to episode 7. I think this is probably going to just about max out the bandwidth of, or max out the storage space at any rate. So I will be removing podcasts probably from this point on. So make sure and download podcasts as well, maybe not as soon as they come out, but if you're behind on them, make sure and download them now. If you think you want to hear past episodes, that's provided you're, of course, joining us right now. I'm also going to list this on the page so that you can see or have a warning that I'm going to start removing these. As for the downloads, actually in the last episode I said that would you please subscribe to it. Well, of course I want you to subscribe, but if you download, I can, well, get a feel for where you are in the country. Or outside the country. Say you're like in Heist-Optenberg. Did I say that right? Probably not. Actually, it's not Heist-Optenberg, it's Holshout. I think that's where one of the downloads came from. And to my friend in Seoul, thank you very much. You downloaded all 6 episodes, so I really appreciate that. So at any rate, wherever you're listening to it, I certainly appreciate it. I'm just able to give a shout out to those that downloaded it because I can see on the map where they are. So whether you're in Ogden or Pico Rivera, Westwood, or Las Vegas, I thank you for downloading these past episodes. Or if you live up there off Hercules Avenue, and I think you know who you are, or that's somewhere as close to you anyhow. Again, thanks for downloading. Like I said, after this week, I won't have that option, because of course you only get that if you pay for the podcast service, and I won't be doing that at this point. So, yeah. Like I said, thank you to those of you that did download it. I hope people continue to download it, even though I can't see you and thank you personally. That brings me to another point, which is it's obviously way too soon to think about having contests. I'd actually need more than 12 listeners to have a contest. So at any rate, like I said, I've still got these shirts here that I'd love to just give out to somebody. So I've got a large and a extra large. If you are the first person to contact me at Madsaxon, MADSAXXON, at yahoo.com, and you want to give me your address, I'll just go ahead and ship that out to you. So, like I said, I've got 2 shirts, first come, first serve, so the first person to hit me up and ask for the size that they want is going to get it. The other person is going to get just whatever size is left. So, anyhow, I'm hoping somebody out there would like to have these. These are fine quality shirts with a very cool design. Well, at least I think so, anyhow. Or I thought so at the time. But at any rate, what else do we have for our Laid to Rest segment? Let me see. It sounds like I'm going to be joining the guys at Horophilia this upcoming year with their Wishmaster episodes. That's pretty cool. I'm going to be looking forward to watching those. I'm a fan of the series. I at least enjoyed the first couple. They're kind of so big, so good it's bad. No, so bad it's good. That's it. And also, once I get this podcasting down just a little bit better, I may see about having some of those guys join me. I think Gonzo's willing to appear on this podcast, and maybe we can talk Borp or Jason or Jamie or one of those guys to join us also. At any rate, that's one thing to look forward to. And let's see what else we have. I don't think I have anything else for this segment right now. I'm going to hurry up and get into the meat of the review. This week's review is for Trick or Treat. I hear some good, but I hear a lot of bad about the movie. So I've seen it once. I'm about to sit down and go through it a second time and maybe wind up defending it because I enjoyed this one. We'll see if I feel the same way on the second viewing. But that's it for the Laid to Rest segment. And again, thanks for listening. So if you're out here in California and are interested in having some photographs taken showing off your pinup modeling skills, be sure to check out Painted Pinups. PaintedPinups.com is where you can find them. Talk to Kurt or Chad. Painted Pinups is an Orange County-based photo studio specializing in classic 1940s through 1950s pinup-style photography. They offer professional photography, digital retouch services, and makeup and hairstylists to achieve the vision and style you are looking for. They also offer photo manipulation, a technique where an image selected from your shoot is digitally manipulated to give you a vintage, painted pinup look. You can reach them at 562-458-5916. That's 562-458-5916.
You ain't my bitch, nigga. Buy your own damn fries.
You know the problem with Hollywood is? They make shit. Unbelievable, unremarkable shit. Now, I'm not some grungy wannabe filmmaker that's searching for existentialism through a haze of bong smoke or something. No, it's easy to pick apart bad acting, short-sighted directing, and the purely moronic stringing together of words that many of the studios term as prose. No, I'm talking about the lack of realism. Realism. Not a pervasive element in today's modern American cinematic vision.
So for this week's review, I wanted to talk about the movie Trick or Treat. It's listed here as being a 2008 movie. I could swear I remember seeing trailers for it as far back as about 2 years ago. But let's start off with what it says here on Netflix. The unusually boisterous traditions of Halloween turn baleful, and everyone in a small town tries to survive one night in pure hell in this writer-director Michael Daltrey's Fright Fest. Several stories weave together, such as a loner fending off a demented trick-or-treater's attacks, kids uncovering a freaky secret, a school principal who moonlights as a serial killer, poisoning his candy, and more. I really don't think that sums up the movie. It's got a bit of what happens there, but it doesn't quite hit the mark. So let's talk about it. So earlier this week I had mentioned that I was going to review this movie for my podcast when I was talking to Gonzo from the Horrorphilia podcast. And the first thing he said was, sucked. So when I pressed him on it, I asked him what he didn't like about it. He said, well, he didn't like the story. So, okay, well, I could see that being a matter of opinion. You know, maybe the story wasn't for him. And like I said, the story that's described on the Netflix isn't necessarily the one that you're getting, I don't think. So I could see that. And I asked him what else he didn't like about it, and he mentioned the fact that he didn't like the effects. And specifically, he didn't like the werewolves. So I'd already seen the movie myself and decided pretty much that I liked it, but I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and watch it a second time and see if I still felt the same way, knowing how the movie was going to go and how it was going to end. So one of the first things that stood out in my mind was that I would look forward to this for probably about the last 2 years. And I say I looked forward to it. I didn't wait for it. And I get the feeling that a lot of people that maybe had seen this or knew it was coming out had really expected it to be great and maybe built up in their mind what they were supposed to get. And maybe that's not it. Who knows? But like I said, I had seen it, saw a few clips from it, and thought, oh, that looks like it's going to be good. There's some creepy visuals that they had picked out to put in the trailer. I mean, they usually pick the best of the best in there, or sometimes they even put scenes in that don't show up in a movie, and I always feel ripped off then, but that's for another time. At any rate, I guess my point was I had looked forward to seeing this for a couple of years now, but I wasn't waiting for it. I didn't really have any expectations other than I wanted to see it and what it might be. So when it finally did come out, I eventually got around to seeing it a little late since it was out for a little while, and I just caught it probably this past week for the first time, and for the second time again tonight. But I can't say I was disappointed with it. I enjoyed it a lot. One of the first things I liked about the movie was I knew Brian Cox was in it, and I've been a fan of his ever since I first saw him, way back in, I guess, 86 or so, the first time he did Hannibal Lecter. The movie Red Dragon was initially the same movie was released by Michael Mann called Manhunter. I'm sure most of you probably know about that. I was actually lucky enough to be in the Red Dragon, though you'd never really actually be able to see me in the frame. At any rate, it was filmed, the movie Red Dragon was filmed at one of the places that I used to work some time back, so that was kind of cool. Anyhow, getting off the track here. Let's talk more about Trick or Treat. I actually enjoyed the story and watched it this second time thinking, okay, what could I do to improve this story, or how could I make it better? And there was nothing that I could see that I would have wanted to change. The pacing was good, I thought, and the way the stories wove together made it interesting, and made it interesting for multiple viewings. Once you see the initial plot twist in the movie, some of them maybe were a little predictable. There was a couple of things that I caught that the first time before we got to the end. But up on second viewing, there's plenty of Easter eggs and there's plenty of reasons to watch it again to pick out the things that are where the stories cross over.